This is Lecture 6 for the course The State of the United States Economy and Society. The topic for this lecture is sports, from almost the cradle to the grave. Engaging in athletics and competing in sporting events is an increasingly organized form of activity all across the United States, with huge effects on the nation's economy. Preparing oneself to participate at a high performance level requires years of training. Millions of people, from the very young to seniors, are actively engaged as participants, trainers, coaches, team managers, league organizers, medical professionals, marketeers, vendors, groundkeepers, and so on and so on. The average U.S. sports family spent $1,016 on their child's primary sport in 2024, a 46% increase since 2019, according to the Aspen Institute's latest parent survey in partnership with Utah State University and Louisiana Tech University. The rising commercialization of youth sports impacts who can access quality sports opportunities, or whether some children play at all. Based on the latest parent survey data and other existing research, the Aspen Institute estimates that parents now spend more than $40 billion annually on their children's sports activities. The approximate cost per child each year is now around $1,500. The higher the household income, the higher the amount spent, as indicated on this chart. Youth soccer participation in the U.S. faces a complicated trend. While overall participation numbers have shown some recovery or growth since the pandemic, a significant long-term decline persists in core, consistent participation among 6 to 12-year-olds. High costs, the pay-to-play system, and a 70% drop-off rate by age 14 are major factors, notes the U.S. Soccer Foundation. Let's now take a look at intercollegiate sports. Schools compete with huge salaries and program expansion plans to attract winning coaches. Millions of dollars are borrowed to finance the construction of new athletic buildings, stadiums, state-of-the-art technologies, travel costs, recruiting, scholarships for student athletes, and growing staffs, and now direct payment to college athletes and to endorsed products. The NCAA's total revenue for the 2025 fiscal year, July 2024 to June 2025, reached approximately $1.4 billion, a slight increase from the previous year. Most of this revenue is generated from media rights and ticket sales, primarily the Division I Men's Basketball Championship. In fiscal year 2023, around $670 million was distributed to Division I members. The 2025-26 academic year marks the beginning of a new era where schools are permitted to directly share up to $20.5 million annually with student athletes as part of the House versus NCAA settlement. This new model is expected to create a deficit for some athletic departments. Football and basketball student athletes disproportionately benefit. Nearly every athletic department of U.S. colleges and universities is running an annual deficit. At least one institution, the University of Utah, has begun negotiations with a private equity firm to step in. In exchange for an infusion of cash, the private equity firm will get a minority share of a newly created for-profit entity. The university's foundation will hold the majority interest. Unanswered is whether unprofitable sports will be discontinued. The major television networks pay the various conferences tens or hundreds of millions of dollars for the rights to broadcast football, basketball, and other intercollegiate sports. However, digital live streaming has been a game changer, allowing younger audiences to follow college sports on their phones, tablets, and laptops. So let's take a look now at professional sports. A 2024 analysis of sports around the world by Sports Value reports that the National Football League in the United States took in more revenue than any other professional sporting league during 2023. This increased to $23 billion in 2024, a number that is expected to increase for the 2025 fiscal year. The per-team salary cap for the 2025 season was set at a record $279.2 million, a significant increase from $255.4 million in 2024. Covering these expenses and generating a profit requires a huge infrastructure and organization. Games require stadiums seating up to 100,000 fans. Stadiums are all surrounded by huge parking areas. Team merchandise is for sale at the stadiums and online. Food and beverage sales generate significant revenue. In 2021, the league signed an 11-year, $111 billion media rights deal. And then there is sports betting. Americans are projected to have legally wagered between $160 billion and $170 billion on sports in the U.S. in 2025, up from an estimated $143 billion in 2024. The total gross revenue for operators from this activity is projected to be around $16.4 billion. A growing form of betting is with the use of apps and websites. Nearly $173 billion was wagered during 2025, up from $143 billion in 2024. An estimated 84 million adults in the U.S. and Canada participated in fantasy sports or sports betting during the year, an increase from 81 million in 2024. FanDuel, owned by Flutter Entertainment, is the market leader in fantasy sports betting. The company's revenue for 2025 is reported to be between $7.4 and $7.9 billion. So that's it for sports in America. What's next? Next, we'll take a close look at the property ownership situation for the entire U.S. population. And with that, this is the end of the 6th lecture in the course.